Back in the mid to late 2010s, there was a trend. And no, I'm not talking skinny jeans, Instagram filters, or those rubber band friendship bracelet things. You know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. I'm talking about Toys to Life games. Before Skylanders, there was a few attempts at Toys to Life games, but none really achieved enough sales to stay profitable, and they probably didn't seem that appealing to consumers either. Honestly, I don't know. I didn't research that part, guys, okay? But when Skylanders came out, it showed that it was possible. And then everyone wanted a piece of the pie. I mean, you had some of the biggest names out there taking part in this trend, from Disney to Lego. Heck, even Nintendo joined in. Although, Nintendo joining in either means it's going to be the biggest thing ever, or it's going to be the biggest flop ever. Anyway, but today we're going to be focusing on just one of these iconic series, which is, I mean, as you could guess, Disney Infinity. Before I start, I would like to ask if you could please help me out by either giving this video a like, or hitting that subscribe button, or you could do both if you really want. I'm trying to hit the 2,000 subscriber mark, and it would help out a ton if you guys did that. Thank you. And just before it starts, I would also like to mention this isn't going to be a comprehensive look at all of the Disney Infinity games, but rather just an overview of what made Disney Infinity take off in a way, and the eventual decline and then cancellation of them. But if you guys would be interested in a review of each game separately, then let me know, because I love these games and I would love to talk more in depth about each of them. The beginning of Disney Infinity stems back farther than I think most people would assume, and that's because it goes to before Skylanders even existed. The core concept for Disney Infinity was derived from the Toy Box mode in the Toy Story 3 video game, which, by the way, the Toy Story 3 video game is a great game. It's way better than it has any right to be, and I think you should play it if you haven't. And the developers thought this Toy Box mode was a really fun idea and they wanted to expand on it. And so they decided to make a whole new game about it, which was set to be a Buzz Lightyear themed game. But after a bit, the developers decided that it would be a fun idea to include more Disney properties. And so they presented this idea to John Lasseter, and he said no. And he said no because their art styles wouldn't match together. And so they went through hundreds and hundreds of different art styles trying to find one that would look good. And they finally found one, which is the art style we ended up with. And then Disney Infinity was truly given life. And although I can't find any verified sources saying that they got the ideas Toys to Life from Skylanders, it can be assumed, at least a little bit, that they took some inspiration from them. And this game was an immediate success. I remember months before I got the game, I would go to the library and watch YouTube videos of people playing the game. And I mean, it just makes sense. You take some of the most popular movie franchises of all time, put them in a vast, customizable world, and let them beat each other up. Of course it was going to be a hit. Not to mention, it wasn't a bad game. It was a pretty good game. And after the first game came out, they would slowly release playsets and characters in waves, similar to what Skylanders did. Each wave introducing at least one playset pack, which had a whole new world with new stories to complete, adding even more content and life to the game. And a year after the first game came out, the second game was already set to release. After the success of the first game, it was almost inevitable that a sequel would be an instant hit. Just throw in a few new characters and playsets and it would be good. But instead, Disney Infinity 2.0 went the extra mile by adding new playsets, a new UI, tons of new ways to customize your toy box, and most importantly, the addition of Marvel characters. These new characters, and mainly Rocket Raccoon, outsold some of the most popular figures from the first game. I can't find any sales numbers on the second game, but I would have to assume that their sales were close to, if not more than the first game. And once again, only 1 year after 2.0 came 3.0. And this time, the big draw was the introduction of Star Wars. And just like with 2.0, 3.0 introduced brand new playsets, a new UI, and new ways to customize your toy box. It was a really well fleshed out game at this point, and it was constantly pushing its own boundaries to become something better than it already was. The developers clearly had a love and passion for this game, and they decided with 3.0 that instead of making another yearly sequel, they would just keep updating this game. I assume they wanted you to think that it was for ease of access, but I like to think that it was because Toys to Life games were on the decline at this point, and they wanted to try and capture an audience and keep that audience for as long as possible. But either way, it seemed like a win for our consumers. And then Disney canceled the game. They didn't just cancel the game. They shut down all of Disney Interactive. It was clear that there wasn't much foresight on the developers' part, considering that there's plenty of unreleased content you can still find online, from a practically complete Peter Pan figure to a playable yet clearly not fully finished Moana playset with playable Moana and Maui characters. Heck, there's even an ambitious 12-inch tall premium figure collection that never even got released. It's a real shame that it all went down like that, but getting to the real point of the video, what happened to it? Money. It was always money. See, Disney wasn't making enough off of this game. It took multiple developers to make every game, and then it took even more money to constantly update, as well as Disney realizing they didn't have the best track record with good games, and so they shut down the one good game that they have made, and they closed off their entire gaming branch, and decided that their best way to have good games with their franchises would be to license out the rights to other developers. Or, in other words, let other people make games for them. And so that's why we got EA making all the Star Wars games now. And while the modern Star Wars games are good, I and plenty of others still miss Disney Infinity. I think now with live service games, Disney Infinity could really thrive if it was in the right hands. Maybe if Disney buys EA or something, then maybe there could be a chance that we get a revival. But if that doesn't happen, then I really don't see a revival happening anytime soon, if ever. At least Dreamlight Valley exists and it's kind of the same. I mean, not really, but there's a lot of Disney characters that all interact with you, and so if that's all you need out of your game, then it's perfect for you. If not, then you can at least go back and play Disney Infinity still. Unless you wanted to play something from the community, in which case you can't do that anymore. But that's okay! So, this is the end of the video. Kudos to you if you made it this far. And heck, if you made it this far, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, thank you. I've been Made with Love, and I'll see you in the next one.